So here we are, our referee Rob Spencer, preparing to get things underway here on table one. This is the final group match before the semi-finals begin, probably around 6 p.m, depending on the duration of this match here. It's Chris Wakelin versus Mark Selby. Big match for Mark Selby. He needs at least a couple of frames to overtake Gary Wilson. Because Gary Wilson is playing on table 2 currently against Kyron Wilson. So Gary Wilson needs a good result there. A comfortable victory for Gary Wilson could just see him make the playoffs, but it's in the hands of this man here, Mark Selby, really. With me to enjoy this match, Ross Muir. Well, the pressure's on these players now, Ross, isn't it? The last group matches, some of these players are guaranteed progression to the semi-finals, but some of them aren't and have work to do.
This is always the most exciting part of the day, the business end of the group stage. Every single ball can be crucial in these moments. And what an opening shot that is from Chris Wakelin. Can't really cue a ball better than that.
Six. Seven.
Chris Wakelin has performed pretty well in this second group. Was very fortunate to be in it, really, because had Nopon Sengham performed a little better in Group 1 in his last match, he lost it. Had he have won it, it would have been Nopon Sengham, the tie player, contesting Group 2. Instead, it's Chris Wakelin. But Kyron Wilson, Chris Wakelin and Ryan Day have played a lot of snooker these last 3 or 4 days.
12.
It's clear to see it's taken its toll on Ryan Day. Topped the group standings in Group 1, lost in the semi-finals, Ryan Day, but in this group didn't win a single match, surprisingly.
13.
Overcut the blue. Well, he didn't really have command of the cue ball for much of that little break, and he has broken down, and a good chance now for Mark Selby. Of course, there's a lot of pressure on Chris Wakelin playing somebody such as Mark Selby, 4 times former world champion, multiple ranking event winner, one of the game's greats.
One. Six. Seven. 40. 50.
You see Mark going into the pack here. The red to the far right of your screen is a nice little bit of insurance for going into the pack. Chance to open up some more as well. He might have came just a tad straight to do that.
22.
Mark Selby currently in 4th and final qualification spot in the group. But he needs the odd frame here in this match. That's all he's looking for. Gary Wilson,
29.
if he were to win comfortably on the other table against Kyron Wilson, let's say 1-3-0, he'd leapfrog Mark Selby, who would then have to win at least a couple of frames.
30.
He does have the safety buffer of being 1 point ahead of him in the group table, Mark Selby. He's on 3 points, Gary Wilson's on 2 points, but Matt Selt and Ryan Day have already been relegated. Kyron Wilson still tops the group standings with 4 points with Chris Wakelin. On frame difference, it's Kyron Wilson who is heading the group for now. So a few things can change once we know these
36.
final 2 results of the group matches on tables 1 and 2 here. We'll be able to give a final update of the group's tables, and we'll know who's playing who in the semi-finals.
37. 44. 45. 45.
Surprising miss there from Mark, but great opportunity for Chris to mop up these balls.
What?
Just do not see Mark Selby missing pots like that. Very surprising. I think he knew he'd put that onto the near draw almost the moment he struck the cue ball. And you don't get very many opportunities as good as this
6.
against the game's top stars, and when you do get them, you need to capitalise on them as much as you can, just to put pressure on the top players, because otherwise they just tend to stamp all over you.
40. 50.
'Just lost the cue ball a tad there. Makes the next pot a little bit tougher
20.
than maybe it should have been. Still fancy Chris to pot this, but
21.
Tough pot that was across the nap of the table. Cued it beautifully. And that will give him some confidence. Still 5 points behind, but he has to be considered favourite here to go on and win this first frame now.
27.
Myself and Ross were rather perplexed as to why Chris Wakelin left himself where he did for that last red. And if he's a guaranteed good position on the yellow, he'd be better off playing the pink where it's missable. So a lot of work to do with the cue ball. He has played it very well, absolutely perfectly on the yellow here. So yellow, green, brown and blue still needed.
37. Forty. 44. 49. 55.
In goes the black for an excellent clearance of 62 from Chris Wakelin. Mark Selby was in first, looked like being a comfortable winner of that first frame until a rudimentary miss black to the left corner has allowed Chris Wakelin in for the winning clearance. So it's Chris Wakelin who leads by 1 frame to 0. Welcome back, Mark Selby. May rue that miss black to the left corner and cost him that first frame, because Gary Wilson,
Mark Selby to break,
who needs to win over on table 2, has won the first frame in his match with Kyron Wilson, his namesake.
It's a handy little fluke, that one. Grazed off 3 reds, changing course 3 times, but gives Mark a nice opportunity here.
Three. Four.
I think the red that's next to the black is available for Mark Selby. Could really do with removing it to bring the black into play. I didn't catch the pack of reds fully enough there. Don't know how the cue ball stayed out, but it has. Won't make a lot of difference to Mark Selby though. He's not on a red.
Mark Selby, 9.
Fantastic pick out there from Chris. A great opportunity here now to go 2-0 up.
Yeah, there was a plant at the top of the pack that Mark Selby may not have seen, although his safety was a poor one. Cue ball catching the brown, leaving the plant available. But fortunately from Mark Selby's point of view, that red is still blocking the black. As are a couple of other reds actually, so the black's not available, the pink's awkward. So it's not a great chance just yet. But for me, while that red is hanging over that right corner there, as you can see, well, I'll be trying to bring the black into play as soon as I could.
Fantastic shot there from Chris. That's really opened up this frame now.
4.
As Dom said, that was the crucial ball to making it a high scoring opportunity. You may have to play up for blue here. I think the plant, possibly he can screw just past the black to play the black into this right corner bag as well. See how he chooses to play it.
Chris Wakelin, 4.
Well, the red hasn't gone in. I think Chris is as surprised as I am there. Wow, if ever you took a shot for granted, hey, he's assuming that it's an absolute certainty that the red will go in. Put all his attentions into the positional aspect of the shot, and not enough on the plant, and somehow Mark Selby is back at the table. And how important a mistake could that be, because Mark Selby, as I say, needs a couple of frames to guarantee progression to the semi-final playoffs.
After watching the replay, I think it was slightly more difficult than it first appeared. It was more towards the right jaw, but I think Chris just took his eye off the pot slightly, just purely put all his focus into the positional side of the shot.
Eight. 9.
always
60.
seems to be more pressure on a player, though, when they're the underdog playing against one of the game's greatest, such as your Judd Trumps, Ronnie O'Sullivans,
70.
John Higginses, etc., etc. Mark Selby can capitalise and punish that mistake from Chris Wakelin. He'll be dwelling on it for the next frame as well, probably.
20.
And this is what the great players do. They spot any weaknesses in their opponents and punish them. And they heap that pressure on
25.
them.
$32. 33. 40. 41. 48. 49. 56. 57. 62. 63. 68. 69. 76.
Well, this is much better from Mark Selby. Very surprising miss in the opening frame. Simple black to this same left corner ended up costing him, as Chris Wakelin made a terrific 62 clearance, but no mistake this time. It was Chris Wakelin's turn to make a bad mistake, missing what looked like a simple plant.
84. 85.
'Fully expect Mark to go on and make the century now.
92.
His cue ball has been on a string in this break. Not one shot has looked out of position. Every single time he's been exactly where he's planned to put the cue ball.
$97. $101. $106. $112. $119 on the frame.
Well, an immaculate century break from Mark Selby. I make that the 5th of this group. He made 4 yesterday. And Mark Selby, with that sparkling clearance of 119, has managed to level this match up at 1 frame all.
The 3rd frame. Chris Wakelin to break.
Chris Wakelin preparing to break off for our 3rd frame. Interestingly poised this match at 1 frame all. That was a superb century from Mark Selby in the previous frame. 119 clearance, but maybe Chris Wakelin, who really shouldn't have had the chance to make it. Mark Selby, 40 years old, still has a few good years ahead of him yet. Currently ranked 5th in the world, closing in on 800 career centuries. Incredible career this man's had. 4 world titles, 22 major ranking titles, 7 minor ranking events. He's won pretty much everything the game's got to offer. And let's not forget, this is good match practice for Mark Selby ahead of the Masters, which begins on Sunday. Not one of Mark Selby's best efforts. Trying to play a soft screw there to hold for the black, just didn't get the spin on the cue ball. That's why the attempt at the long red went so badly astray. Just to let you know, don't tell Mark Selby this for goodness sake, that Gary Wilson is 2-0 ahead of Kyron Wilson, and that could change things dramatically. And here you can have a look at table 2. And you didn't see the previous shot, but Kyron Wilson has just missed a dolly red to give Gary Wilson this opportunity. And if Gary Wilson could win this match 3-0, well, Mark Selby may well have to win this match.
No. Forty. 50. 22. 23. 28.
Chris Wakelin has played for red at the bottom of that cluster there that pots clearly into this right corner. Well, he's actually played for a plant. He's missed another plant. That red that I was referring to obviously didn't go. Wow, 2 plants missed to the same corner pocket. And another opportunity goes a-begging. You can see the plant. Well,
yeah, sure.
He'll feel he ought to have made that. It didn't look particularly difficult, really, did it, Ross?
No, it's the second frame in a row he's missed a plant. That one was slightly more difficult than the one in the last frame, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he would have expected to get both of them. Maybe, again, just slightly thinking about position, more so than the pot.
Cheers, man. Thank you. 6. 7.
Slightly misjudged the run-through cannon from red to red there, and he has a lovely angle on the black, but it's a missable pot given what we've already seen from Mark Selby in this match. He's missed a couple.
He's gone slightly out of position here. He might have expected to have a bit of a more higher up the table connection with the black after maybe a little bit too much topspin on that shot. I think he was trying to almost stun it just fractionally. Never misses a trick, does Mark. I never spotted that plant there. So he played it absolutely perfectly the previous shot.
$22. $23.
I'm doing my best to study the group standings as they are. From what I can work out, if Mark Selby can just win this frame, it should be enough for him. Because as I say, he's 1 point, 1 match win ahead of the danger man on the other table, Gary Wilson. But Gary Wilson is going well in that other match. He's 29 points to the good and with a 2-0 lead. So important Mark Selby can win this frame.
That tiny graze off that red's just put Mark out of position. Not electing to take it on, so he's trying to put Chris in a bit of trouble here. Might try and get the white in behind the brown.
Mark Selby 30.
Big pot this coming up for Chris.
One. Three. Four.
Very important break this for Mark Selby. If he can go on and take this frame, take a 2-1 lead, he's guaranteed in the semi-final playoffs. He won't be able to be caught by Gary Wilson on the other table. That's because he'll have guaranteed himself 13 frames.
9.
Gary Wilson with a 3-0 victory could only get to 12.
$50. 60.
Studying the table once again, my co-commentator Ross Muir has just advised me, and it's absolutely true this. If Mark Selby can win this match, guess who'll be playing in the semi-final playoffs? Chris Wakelin. Amazing.
24.
Consecutive matches against the same player. But he's got to win this match first, but he's looking good for a 2-1 lead here now.
$30. 31.
Black is frame ball. And black is qualification to the semi-finals. So well done, Mark Selby. Hasn't been plain sailing. 2 snookers currently acquired by Chris Wakelin. If he comes back to the table, he won't now.
39. 46. 48. 51. 55. 60. 66.
In goes the black for an excellent
frame.
clearance of
Right.
73 by Mark Selby. It could have been a different story, though, if Chris Wakelin had have taken his chances. But well done, Mark Selby. Winning that frame guarantees him a place in the semi-final playoffs after this match. So at the moment, it's Mark Selby a frame away from victory. He leads 2-1. Welcome back.
7.
Now on our main featured table, table 1. Players have just left the auditorium briefly, so this is what's happening in a very exciting third frame here on table 2. Gary Wilson trying to complete a 3-0 victory over Kyron Wilson. Needs both pink and black. He's 1 point ahead. Doesn't have a good angle on the pink to get onto the black really, but he can still do it. Oh, that's a great pot on the pink.
80.
So this black for a 3-0 victory, but he can't qualify for the playoffs because Mark Selby has won the 2 frames he needs on the other table. In goes the black, so what a great win though, nevertheless, for Gary Wilson. He defeats his namesake, Kyron Wilson, by 3 frames to 0. Back on table 1, the players have returned and the break-off has just been played. Gary Wilson, though, will remain in 5th place. He's leapfrogged Mark Selby for now, but of course Mark Selby's already won 2 frames. If you put that on, Mark Selby once again overtake Gary Wilson, pushing him down into 5th. So that's good news in a way for Gary Wilson. It guarantees he'll be back for Group 3 in about a month's time.
Foul. And a miss. Mark Selby 4. Yeah. Let's have a look, Chris. Yeah. Yeah, Mark.
Myself and Dom were just going through the table there. The semi-final lineup has been confirmed, but who plays who has not yet been confirmed. So these next frame or the next frame or two will have a bearing on who plays who in the semi-final. If Mark wins this frame, he will top the group and will be playing Ali Carter, and Kyron will play Chris Wakelin.
Yes, you're pretty certain, so although I think neither of us would confess to being Alan Turing. There's a lot of mathematics involved, but we've had a good study of it all. And we're pretty sure if Mark Selby were to prevail 3-1 here, that would be the case. It would be Mark Selby versus Ali Carter in the semi-final, and Kyron Wilson versus Chris Wakelin in the other semi-final.
3. Four. 9. 10.
The black is still available into the left corner, although you'd have to be reasonably high on it for it to be available. Mark Selby could really do with having that black back onto its spot as soon as he can manage it, because the pink is a little awkward where it is, so he wouldn't necessarily play for the pink.
Sixty. 21. 22. 27. 28.
'Mark Selby very content, it seems, to be playing up for the blue each time, and he can do so again here, but he could run through for the black now. Could easily screw back for the pink there and played it with the rest. He'd have had nothing to do with the cue ball for position, but I think he deems the pink missable.
$39. Yeah. Cheers, Mark. 40. 41. 45. Yeah.
Might have to play a cannon here to continue the break. He's having a little look now. If he catches in between the two reds below the black spot, it should hold the white nicely for the black. A little bit of risk attached to this cannon, but played it nicely, perfectly on the black.
46.
Yeah, he called it, Ross. Absolutely. Just needs to drop this black in. He should be automatically on the two reds together near the pink spot. It's been an interesting match, really. Chris Wakelin had
53.
ample opportunities to take a 2-0 lead. Missed what looked an unmissable plant virtually into the right corner pocket when the reds were everywhere. And then the next frame he missed another simple plant to the same pocket. And was punished on both occasions by Mark Selby, who made breaks of 119 and 73.
59.
So although he has scored heavily, Mark Selby, he could have easily been out of this match.
60.
That red seals the frame. Perfectly played.
$67.
Chance here for Mark's second century of the match. Yeah, great way to end the group
68.
stage. Good confidence going into the semi-finals on the back of a good scoring performance.
$75. 76. 80.
Who played so well in Group 1, made 7 centuries. Well, if Mark Selby
82.
could complete a century here, I believe it'd be century number 6 of this second group for Mark Selby.
$89. Cheers, Mark. Thank you. Mark Selby, 89. Frame.
Well, unfortunately no century for Mark Selby, but it doesn't matter. He lost the first frame, but has come back in sparkling fashion, making breaks of 119, 73 and 89. So it's Mark Selby who wins the match by 3 frames to 1 and books his place in the semi-final playoffs, which will be coming up in a few minutes.